Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast, hit like, share and link. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast, home of the champions. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast, hit like, share and link. Who's how, Rams how, you know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast, home of the champions. When I need a scoop on the league, I hit up the dream team. Golden Rams Buzz.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Golden Ram Buzz Podcast with Damon and Sal. Before we get started, we'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Recover 180, as well as Brea Bakery bread, and a big shout out to newly elected 2024 Rams Fan of the Year, Gary the Ram Young. Congratulations, Gary the Ram Young, on winning 2024 Rams Fan of the Year. With that being said, the Rams going to Seattle on a wet and slippery, crazy game and win in overtime 26-20. The defense had 3 interceptions, 7 sacks, and even a 103-yard touchdown return by Cam Kitchens. The Rams are now 4-4, second place in the division. Sal, what are your thoughts on that game?
I mean, it's pretty much what I expected or what I hoped would happen. I knew it was going to be a tough game. Those divisional games are always tough, especially in Seattle. But, the Rams had, they overcame a lot of their mistakes. Jumping off sides, jumping into the neutral, those were kind of frustrating. But they were able to overcome all that and, still win the game. I knew their defense eventually would start dominating the game. They just had to play more disciplined, and they did. So, yeah, I was excited about that. Anytime you beat the Seahawks or divisional games, always great.
I forgot to mention one thing. A punch by Puka Nacua got him kicked out the game.
Yeah.
So was that a punch or what? I mean, you know how it is in the NFL.
He's going to be fined.
Yeah.
He's going to get fined. Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be a big, once he left, I'm like, because he's a key to the offense. And then you had Cooper Kupp, you had DeMarcus Robinson step up, you had other people step up. That was a crazy emotional game. I saw with Pat Harris, our guest last week, and watching it with him. Big shout out to Danny Cage. We watched it there together. It was loud. It was emotional. We were talking trash to each other. But Sal, the defense had 3 interceptions. 2 by Cam Kitchens and 1 by Jalen McCullough. His 4th of the year, Sal. He has 4 interceptions on the year. Wasn't he undrafted, or wasn't he like an afterthought in the Rams defense?
Yeah, he wasn't drafted. Yeah, he was dominant, though. He made plays like that at Tennessee also. Yeah. So it's nice to see him be able to. A lot of these players, all they need is opportunity. But you can see now where the Rams are like when they played the Lions on Sunday night, football, you could see the Rams like Jared Verse. He was showing flashes, but now you're starting to notice that the Rams defense is starting to come together and they're starting to be dominant. And each week they're only going to get better as they play more and more.
And then the Cam Kitchens, 100-yard
pick was crazy.
6. That was crazy because of Byron Young pressured Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And I said Geno Smith's going to throw an interception down here and pass. No, you don't know what you're talking about. He ended up throwing 2 touchdowns in the red zone, Sal. And then just a lot of stuff. And then you see him run 103 yards. And when the flag came out, I was like, oh. And then you see Cam Kitchens, I don't know if he dropped the ball and he picked it up because he thought he fumbled it because what happened the week before in the game. Yeah. So that was just an interesting play. Our defense, Sal, was like, I mean, there's a lot of the receiver for the Seattle went off, had 185 yards, a couple plays and stuff like that. But our defense bent a little bit but didn't break. And then
Did you see Cam Kitchens? He did the same thing in college. Did you see that?
Yeah, 99 yards.
And it was almost it was very similar, almost like an identical play, where he was able to run it back. Most safeties or most corners really wouldn't even run it out of, they wouldn't even, run it out of the end zone. But I like aggressive players, and, players like that are difference makers on the Rams team. So that's awesome.
Brandon Fisk had 2 sacks. Jared Verse was going off. We're getting, even we're down 13-3, I wasn't scared or nervous. No. I'm like, man, the Rams are going to get this in the second half because they couldn't drive at first. I said, they're going to figure it out. Second half comes around, it's going to be a whole different game. And we held them, Sal. Again, they're up to 13-3. The Rams defense held them to 7 points in the second half, Sal. What do you think about that defense?
I'm excited because I know what the potential is. And each week, last year when the Rams had Aaron Donald, it was always Donald and then a couple of bodies, But now you have, the pressure coming from the inside with, Braden Fisk. And then now you have, Byron Young, Michael Hoyt, and also Jared Verse. So you have 4 or 5, defensive linemen coming at you. So I think that the Rams defense will be a lot more efficient and definitely have a lot more sacks this year than last year.
Now, as I recall, maybe 2 months ago, the Rams were 1-4. A lot of people on Twitter, social media saying, fire Chris Shula, this defense is terrible, this defense is that. I said, be patient, relax. Sal, the last 3 games, the Rams are on a 3-game winning streak. They've given up 20 points per game. They beat Seattle 26-20, beat the Vikings 30-20, and they beat the Raiders. I believe they only gave less than 20 points.
Yes.
And then if you think about it, I broke it down, right? The Rams are now 4-4. But the games they lost to, they're figuring out their defense. They lose to Detroit 26-20, overtime. What place is Detroit in? One of the best teams in the NFL.
Yep.
They lose to, they lost to other teams as well. They lost to Arizona. Arizona's first place in our division. They lost to Green Bay. Green Bay's like second in the division, you know? Each team we lost to, we're figuring out our defense. Now our defense is playing as a unit together. Of course, the secondary has like miscues here and there, but to me, they're coming together at the right time and at the right pace, and 4-4, Arizona better watch out, because I believe those last 2 games at SoFi with Seattle and Arizona
divisional games.
are going to be divisional games. It's going to be flex. It's going to be the division title on the line. What are your thoughts on my opinion on that?
Well, I agree with it. And also when you have a young team, it's like they're so concerned with their assignments and just not, making mistakes. But when you start having success, you kind of start looking around, and then the Rams will start expecting sacks and to be dominating teams. So each week the Rams are going to get stronger and stronger. But I don't know any quarterback in the NFC at least that could withstand that kind of pressure. I mean, you're talking about young defenders that are coming at you. Braden Fitz looked like the Tasmanian devil the way he was spinning around, right?
Yeah, he was on a mission.
Yeah, he disrupted that game like crazy,
And then Stafford threw 2 beautiful passes. He threw that one. Forgot the guy running over the middle. It was going to be interception, but I forgot the receiver's name.
Yeah,
it was scary to me.
Yeah, it was Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson
So
caught
that was the same play. Remember when I told you that angle, right? It looks like the defender looked like he was waiting for the ball, right? And then all of a sudden, Tyler Johnson made the break and right in his hands.
The announcer said, "Why don't you just run? Why are you waiting for the ball to come to you? Run towards
well,
the ball."
Because but when you play against someone like Stafford, Stafford, his ability is crazy. It's crazy that how long he's been in the league and he still doesn't get the credit he deserves.
And then the overtime pass to DeMarcus Robinson, one-handed overtime. I think that's the first pass they said somebody catching overtime with the one-handed touchdown to win the game.
With the one-handed, yeah. But it reminded me of years ago when the Rams were down against Seattle. They were down 17 points. In the second half, they tied it up. And then Mark Bulger hit Sean McDonald in overtime. Same thing. And so it was like a walk-off touchdown against Seattle. So that kind of reminded me of, you saw the Seahawk fans started throwing stuff at the Ram players and stuff. So it was kind of interesting.
So Geno Smith threw 3 interceptions, 2 in the red zone. Can you believe that? It's like, come on, dude.
But isn't that who Geno Smith is, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he makes a lot of plays, but when the game's on the line, he's gonna, he just isn't a clutch guy. He has never been, really.
Funny story about Geno Smith. So I did Uber back then, right? So I say 2017. I pick up this person in Costa Mesa. I'm like, Geno Smith. He's like, oh, you recognize me? He was my Uber passenger. I was taking him to Golden West College for a quarterback workout. He was playing for the Chargers Giants at the time. He's just figuring things out. I was just talking to him and now to see him, I'm like, oh man, I forgot he was my Uber passenger for exactly. I looked at the thing. It's 27-minute ride I gave him. So it's just crazy, to see, his mistakes prone in that game, because those are big. That's a 14-point swig, 103, like we said about that, and then another interception back. Come on. But
yeah, physically, he has all the tools, but playing quarterback in the NFL and being successful, winning big games. I've never been a stat guy. That's why for me, it's crazy when people talk about Jared Goff's numbers. That's all nice, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be measured by how many Super Bowls you won.
Now, the key play to me, the most important thing in this game, nobody talks about. We hear about the Puka Nacua, the hit. We hear about the interception by Cam Kitchens.
Was it a block?
No, the most important thing that people are overlooking, the missed extra point by Seattle. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Because if they made that extra point, and they would have probably won the game, but they end up losing in overtime. And I went back and looked. Even the Seattle fans I was watching it with, I said, that extra point's going to come back to bite you. I hope it doesn't, And then it ended up coming back to bite them, because when it was 20-20 when they scored, if it was 20-14, 21-20, they win the game. I always say, people never think about it that much. Mixed extra points, field goals can add up points, key points. You don't think about it to the end of the game because 1 point difference means a lot. And I was like, oh, this is like a key point of the game. Of course, people are going to talk about the touchdown and all this other stuff. But to me, I look at missed field goals or like missed extra points. I'm like, oh, no, because that's a big deal.
Well, I mean, it is a big deal, but those are going to happen in the NFL, right? I mean, you're not going to make every field goal. You're not going to make every extra point. Sometimes when you're on I mean, there was another kicker this week that had, like, he was on a streak. He had a consistent streak, which was pretty impressive. And then I saw him. He missed like 2 extra points in one game. So, I mean, it happens, but I don't think it should ever come down to 1 point. I think the Rams were determined to win that game.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just feel like, because, you know, Cardi, like, sometimes he, what he's going through his thing, but I was like, those 4 points and Rams lose by 3. It's like, really? Like, you know what I'm saying?
But Cardi looked like he was ready to go.
Yeah, he was ready to go. He's like,
yeah.
he better score because.
I mean, what did he kick? I think he kicked a 61-yarder in college.
Yeah,
so,
he did. He was ready to go. So I was like, this is amazing. But like I said, the Rams were 4-4. We'll talk about who obviously we play the Dolphins coming up, but I'm going to get through a couple highlights and scores. Let's talk about, so Sal, the Saints started off 2-0. They're now 2-7. They just fired their coach, Dennis Allen. But you know what's kind of crazy? What team did Dennis Allen used to coach for?
Raiders, yeah.
And who's the quarterback of the Saints?
Yeah.
Carr.
Carr
And who do you used to play for?
The Raiders, yeah.
And then the Saints fired their coach, and the Raiders fired 3 coaches. They fired their offensive coordinator, their quarterback coach, and the offensive line coach. So the Saints and Raiders are intertwined, and they both are losing, Sal. So what is that? What do you think about all this?
Well, the Saints have car problems, They got to call AAA because I knew there was going to – look at the personal relationship that Mike Thomas came out and was really bad-mouthing
that's crazy.
Derek Carr through the media. So when you have problems like that, it's a lot deeper. The head coach has to have full control of that team. And that's one thing you never see any of the Ram players talking about money, contracts, anything on the Rams. It's rare. And when you do, you get moved. You get traded to the Titans.
And then the Titans trade you to the Seattle.
Right.
Ernest Jones. Speaking of trades.
Hey, speaking of that, did you see that nice block on that Kyron put on Ernest Jones?
You see Ernest Jones almost had an interception, too.
Yeah. Almost.
It doesn't count. Also, what is going on? Yeah, that was crazy. So another thing, Dak Prescott out 4 weeks for the Cowboys. Their season's over. They play the Eagles coming up.
Yeah, I think their season's over. But I think it was over when just in the whole off season, there wasn't a lot of success. It's crazy when teams go back and forth with contracts and then you end up giving the player the same contract that, he wanted. So why do you even waste players' time? But everybody, the whole team has to be moving in the same direction to have success. And that's one of the reasons why you saw when the Rams had, you remember Stafford, when he wanted to renegotiate his contract, he came and he participated in, a lot of the OTAs and stuff for the Rams. But you remember there was a press conference and McVay came late. It was like 2 hours late because he wanted to get that contract done. And you have to move into training camp with everybody on the same page.
Speaking of the same page, the Rams made a trade today, right?
Oh, yeah.
White, he didn't really play that much.
Well, when they brought him in.
Was he from Buffalo?
When they brought him in, he was supposed to be like, a veteran presence. And but the Rams' younger corners are when I saw him bite on that double move, I was like, oh, my gosh, that's why Buffalo let him go. I mean, but he wanted to play. And so both McVay and Les Snead said that he wanted to play, and he wasn't going to play with the Rams. So, but it was weird. I think they traded him. The Rams gave, White and a 7th-round pick up. Traded to the Ravens for a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, but the Rams can find a 7th-round pick, and we never heard it before and make him do magic. From Augusta State University, so-and-so, like 7th-rounder. Like, that's how they find these people, man.
Well, I mean, look how many of the Rams players, undrafted players, make the Rams roster.
Yeah.
But it also sets a nice precedence because a lot of these players that aren't drafted, they all want to play, at least come to the Rams. Because if the Rams do sign you as undrafted, you're going to play a lot of preseason games. So you're going to be able to, get a lot of exposure. So a lot of players like that.
Now, the next game, of course, we want to talk about, we play the Miami Dolphins. Well, at least we could say Cooper's going to be Puka Nakua is going to be 100% healthy for that game because he didn't even get to play. So I just want to know, why you sit on the bench so long? I thought when you get ejected, you have to leave right away. He was just sitting there like...
Well, you were supposed to.
He's about to order some popcorn or something to watch the game. You can't watch the game.
Well, he still was kind of hanging around by the locker when the game was over, right?
Yeah, but you can't sit on the bench. You got to go. So.
But it was unfortunate because, he's such a character guy. And for him to lose his composure, that everybody like jumped on him, were laughing, and for me, it's like it could happen to anybody.
Yes,
it wasn't a smart play, but
instinct.
No one felt worse than
instinct.
he did.
Somebody pushes you, you're gonna hit back by instinct. You're not gonna cower up. So at least he fought. I got it kicked out, but the guy stepped up. And with that being said, we're gonna take our commercial break. And up next, from the Mob Squad, we got our guy Ty Giovani. He's been a Ram fan since he was 9 years old. He's coming up next as our guest. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, let's hear it.
Big shout out to our sponsors, Navarro Taqueria, who gave us some delicious chicken and carne asada tacos, Recover 180, and Brea Bakery bread. Take and bake with Brea Bakery bread. Joining us now, our man has been a Rams fan since he was 9 years old. He's a member of the Mob Squad. His name is Ty Giovani. We always run into each other, but we don't run into each other because we're at the same spots, same time, but he's at a distance. I'm at a distance. Hey, he's here now. Welcome, Ty Giovani, Mob Squad. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, you came from a far distance. Much appreciate to get here, man. You're here on time. And my question is, you've been a Rams fan since you were 9 years old, right?
9 years old.
What made you a Rams fan? What game or what athlete or what made you become a Rams fan?
Honestly, Kurt Warner.
Okay.
I was 9. It was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So 99, 2000. His story too. The way he got into the NFL is just, you don't hear about that too much now, having a regular job and getting into the NFL, playing and saving your team. The stuff he did for the Rams, he had great weapons, but that's where it all started, was when I was 9 years old. And crazy story is I didn't even know they were LA Rams before that because I was 9. Okay, I didn't know I'm 34 now, so I didn't know too much history back then, but throughout the years later on, I was like, wow, it makes sense why I like them.
Yeah.
They're from LA.
Now, have you went back and looked at any old YouTube of the LA Rams?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, it was different type of football back then. Every year football changes, but just to have the storylines, and even having Isaac Bruce, Falk, Holt, just a lot of amazing players back then. And to see what we have now, a lot of people are not going to have as much faith because we have a lot of young players.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're the second youngest team in the NFL with rookies. But look what they're doing. A lot of people don't talk about it, but it's going to be talked about more throughout the weeks. The defense. That's the one thing I'm shocked by. They're waking up every week. But a lot of people didn't think we would do well without Raheem. We let go of him. Even years ago, we let go of Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. So do you have Kurt Warner jerseys? Do you have jerseys from the British on Turf years? Or
so that was my first jersey when I bought it maybe a year after I was a fan, just because I loved Kurt.
Okay.
Loved the way he played the game. I wish I still had it though.
Okay.
I moved around a lot, so.
Now, are you a season ticket holder yourself, or?
Yeah, I'm section 209, so if you're in 209, come say hi.
Now, do you tell me about the Mob Squad? Do you guys tailgate, or what time do you arrive? What time do they arrive, and how does it all work?
So it depends on the game. 4 hours before, 5 hours. Mob Squad, they're there every single game. There's so many great booster clubs, don't get me wrong, but Mob Squad's all about unity, family, Ramley. And, I've been part of Mob Squad since 2020.
Okay.
There's a lot of chapters to it, but it all started as the main Mob Squad. Shout out to Black Sheep, Christy, Chuck, Erica, the list goes on, the big names. I could say a lot of shout outs.
And as a matter of fact, we have one of your people from the Mob Squad coming on a couple episodes in probably about a month. Leadingly as a Mob Squad, Cookie, Eric, and I believe somebody else. So they're going to come down here and we're going to treat them well as we treat you. Now,
they're amazing, by the way. So you better treat them well.
Hey, my question, did you go to games at the Coliseum as well?
I actually did not get to go to the Coliseum games. So I became an actual season member when they were at SoFi. So during COVID, when we couldn't go, but that's when I became a season member. When I was at the Coliseum, I was working a lot. So, but I watched every single game. A lot of my friends are still going. But when they made the move and built SoFi, I had to.
Now, what's been your favorite game you've seen on TV or live, either or? Of course.
In the last probably 6-7 years, probably the game between Goff and Mahomes when Goff was a Ram at the Coliseum. What was it 53-50?
58, 53 or
It was
something
like a 3-point game, but it was a high-scoring game.
Now, did you watch that there or were you on?
No, I watched it at home, but I was glued to the TV.
Okay. Now, what game have you seen at SoFi? Did you see in person that you like? Were you at the Super Bowl?
I was not. I wish.
Were you at the NFC Championship game?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
So when we beat them 49ers, it always feels good. That's our rival that we dislike a lot. Just to put that out there. But it was a great game just because they always take over our stadium, but it felt good when they all left through the escalators.
How do you feel about that when people say fans take over your stadium? Does it bother you? It doesn't bother me at all. It brings money to the economy.
It's at the end of the day, those fan bases will spend more money to go to games because their team. A lot of those teams are not far away. I mean, but also we left for a while, and when you leave, a lot of people start leaving the fan base. But for us, we stay loyal. I mean, you watch your team wherever they are. They leave the state, they go to St. Louis or come back. We're still going to stay loyal. But you were asking about my favorite game that I've been to at SoFi though. I'd probably say the NFC Championship. Yeah, that was. I mean, what else? Like that was right before the Super Bowl, and you win the Super Bowl the first year you have Stafford.
Yeah.
I mean, that was magical, and the feeling. Yeah, it was a lot of 49er fans, but we won, and we went to the Super Bowl and won that too. So.
Now, do you attend the Rams training camp? Did you attend training camp at UCI and as well as Loyola?
LMU.
I remember you texted me at LMU, and I was like, oh, man, where are you? Like, I see you. Like, I don't know where you are.
You're like, where are you?
I was under the shade, boy. Chilling. I got to give me a tan that day. It was kind of hot out there.
No. It was a fun time, but it was a little depressing because of the injuries at training camp this year. It might be their field. I don't know. I don't know. But it was a lot of injuries through.
You noticed that?
Kendrick, too.
Yeah, the alpha of the year. Yeah, you noticed that because it's a soccer field and UCI was kind of made for football.
It could also be if you don't maintain your field well, there could be little holes, your cleats get stuck, cause little,
divots and stuff
exactly.
Like that.
So there was just a lot of injuries. So, I mean, that's going to be
got hurt too, huh?
The knee.
Damn, that's right.
So, I mean, hey, at least he'll be back for this game.
Now, this game is going to be on against the Miami Dolphins, Monday Night Veterans Day. What do you think about the score? Do you think it's going to happen? To give me your insider analysis on that game.
So I know the defense is going to go off again.
Okay.
The defense is only getting better week by week. And I'm sure everyone saw that against the Seahawks. 7 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, Fisk went off. It's nice to see him come alive. I mean, but it's something that the Rams expected. To have Verse and Fisk come from FSU and to kind of wreak havoc together. And it's starting to show. Then you have Kobe Turner. You have Byron Young. I mean, it's a young defense, but you want that. You want your young defense to grow and be amazing. And I feel like it's only going to get better. I think they're going to go off on Tua. So good luck to Tua. Sorry, Tua.
Now, you said your favorite player is Kurt Warner. Used to be or whatever. Who's your favorite all-time player now? Is it still Kurt
Stafford.
Warner?
No,
Stafford's your favorite all-time player now?
Oh, as soon as
Aaron Donald, really?
He's one of my favorite of all time. But current players, Stafford.
Stafford is.
I mean, I love my wide receivers. I love Kupp. I love Puka. He's only the second year as a Ram, but look what he did his first year. So for now, it's been Stafford, and it's because the way he plays and the dedication, and like Sal was saying earlier, Stafford's all about the team. He didn't care about money, He still showed up to OTAs, training camp. I mean, it shows you the type of player and person he is at the end of the day, and that's what I love about him. He's a great quarterback, and he's only going to be great until he retires. And I don't think he's going to retire until maybe 40, 41. So come on. Brady was 45, so.
That's good. By that time, it's going to be too untouched, probably.
No, I hope not. We need tackle football.
Hey, thanks for joining us once again. Representing the Mob Squad. Ty, give some shout-outs if you like.
So, Mob Squad, I shouted out earlier, but also they have Toy Drive coming up. On December 7th, annual toy drive presented by Mob Squad at Zendejas in San Dimas.
Okay.
You could reach out to Mob Squad Booster Club for any information. There's a lot of other sponsors with Mob Squad, but please make your way down. It's a great cause for the kids.
Thank you. Whose house?
Rams house.
Whose house?
Rams house.
Whose house? One more time.
Rams house.
Thank you for joining us, Ty Giovani. See you at Tailgate. Thank you for that interview with Ty Giovani,
No,
Mob
it was
Squad.
interesting,
He,
yeah,
Here from
yeah.
that perspective, as somebody, a St. Louis fan, watching Kurt Warner until now, his favorite quarterback, Kurt Warner, to Matthew Stafford. That was a great interview. So big shout out to the Mob Squad. I'll see you guys at Tailgate, and also the leading ladies of Mob Squad to be here pretty soon. One of the
That'll be
episodes.
interesting,
Can't wait.
yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the division leaders and a couple of division leaders, Sal. Now, the Chiefs are 8-0. That division's over. They won.
Yeah,
they beat Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield came back, but come on. The Chiefs are just like chilling to me. I mean, not chilling, but they're 8-0. There's no firepower, but they just get the job done. I said beginning of the year, they're going to go probably 14-3. Now they may go 15-2 because I just don't see. I want them to go undefeated so the Rams can play them in the Super Bowl. That'd be my dream. But I see. What do you think about the Chiefs, Al?
Well, I mean, the Chiefs remind me a lot of like the Patriots, where they never played, the complete like 4 quarters. They play in spurts. You could do that for a while, but eventually you're going to have to start playing better. You're going to have to clean up a lot of things, and you're not going to keep pulling games out, in the fourth quarter. So I'm sure that even Andy Reid knows that they got to, make some adjustments.
Now, these next 2 divisions are kind of neck and neck to me. Well, 3 divisions. So we got Washington 7-2 and Philadelphia 6-2. What do you think about the Washington Commanders / Redskins used to be, but what do you think about that team, Jalen? Are they going to go back to fall back, or is this a continuing thing? They're going to make the playoffs? What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, they're a good team, and I don't like to take anything away from, Jaden Daniels and that young team. But last year it was C.J. Stroud. Every year it's always some young quarterback that they fall in love with, and they're ready to induct him in the Hall of Fame. But he's going to hit some lumps like everybody. And that's why, to be a successful quarterback in the league, and that's why I'm such a big Stafford fan, because, he's had to overcome a lot of things, And so for me, those teams are good, but I would still take the Rams over both those teams.
Philadelphia 6-2. The highlight that's going viral, Saquon Barkley, the backwards hurdle. They're looking good. He added so much stuff to their weaponry, as well as Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens. Philadelphia and Washington to me are on a collision course. I can't wait to just watch that game as a pure fan, because I don't know what to expect.
Philadelphia has great players, but I think their only weakness is their quarterback. I mean, not their quarterback. I like their quarterback. I like Jalen Hurts, but their coach.
Well, now why do you say that?
Well, because he, to me, he's just not, I just don't think in critical times he makes the right decisions. I think he tends to get out coached.
Okay.
So I think it's going to come back to haunt him as they get into the playoffs.
Hopefully November 24th, he gets out coached that day when he plays the Rams.
Well, yeah.
Now, this is a tough division. Detroit and Minnesota. We got a Minnesota spectator here watching this, so I got to be careful about what I say, because we got Big Mo up in here. So Detroit is 7-1. Minnesota is 6-2. Collision course for that division title. Who and why, man? This is amazing. I just love
that whole division is like really evenly matched, right? I mean, they're interchangeable. All 3 teams. I mean, Packers, Lions, and Vikings. I mean, I think they could all beat each other. I don't see a clear-cut team coming out of that. I think it's going to go down to the wire. But everybody keeps talking about the Lions. But me personally, I mean, I think Packers are just as dangerous, and also Vikings.
Yeah, I think the Vikings, have they played twice already or once? I forgot. But just that matchup, like Minnesota's defense, Detroit, Jared Goff, the offensive line, they say it's the best in the league. And I just like to see good matchups. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to win that division. I'm just like, but just to see that. And then our division, Arizona's 5-4. The Rams are 4-4. Niners 4-4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to come down to some games. And Cardinals play next week. They play the Jets. So obviously we're going to root for the Jets. But do you think the Cardinals maintain the division lead, Sal? Do they maintain this?
No. I mean, they're playing great, but Jalen Hurts. Kyler Murray, I mean, he has yet to play a full season. So usually, around week 10, 11, that's when you really have to step it up. You have to, have more command of the team. And I just don't see him winning that division.
Now, these are key games I'm watching. Steelers and Commanders. Who do you got? They're both only 2 losses, both in their division leaders. Who do you got?
I'll take Steelers.
Steelers, okay. I got the Commanders.
With Russell Wilson at quarterback, the Steelers are a completely different team.
Yeah, they are. He has leadership, and he knows what he's doing because he's been there.
Yeah, they were barely squeaking by with Justin Fields. I mean, he was doing just enough, and you can't do that. I think, when Mike Tomlin made that quarterback, switch, everybody thought it was a wrong decision, but, he was right on that.
Jets and Cardinals. Come on, Jets. I mean, we got to have the Jets win because
I know it's hard cheering for Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, but we have to. I mean, I need I want all the NFC teams to lose except for the Rams because we're chasing now we're in ninth place, of course, because the Bucks lost, but we got to have Chicago lose.
Yeah, but it's gonna be nice when those projected playoff
yes.
pictures. It'll be nice to be involved in that, right?
Yes. Now we got the Niners and Bucks. Now I think McCaffrey's coming back. The Bucks just lost a heartbreak to the best team in the NFL, the Chiefs. Niners and Bucks. I need the Bucks to win that game.
That's evenly matched. Yeah, I think that's evenly matched. I would go. I would actually take the Bucks. I like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I have to take the Bucks. I can never root for the Niners unless it's helping us some way, somehow. Like when they beat Seattle. Okay, we needed that. But
yeah, that helped us.
And then a couple other games. I'm just going to go to two more and then we're done. Bengals and Ravens. I got the Ravens because.
Oh, yeah, Ravens, yeah.
The Bengals, I mean, of course they beat the Ravens.
Well, I mean, it's so funny that, the NFL, the media tries to dismiss the Rams, right? After Super Bowl 56, the Rams win the Super Bowl, and yet the Bengals haven't done anything since then. But yet they keep getting, they get all this media attention, and they keep putting them in these primetime games because of Joe Burrow. And I don't think that the Bengals are that team.
Yeah,
I like Zach Taylor as the coach, but I just don't think they're that team.
Yeah. And then the last one, Chiefs and Broncos. Chiefs 8-0, Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Do the Chiefs lose this game or what happens?
No, Chiefs aren't going to lose that game.
Yeah.
I like Bo Nix, good, young, exciting quarterback, but the Chiefs won't lose to the Broncos.
And there's other games, Cowboys and Eagles, but Cooper Rush for the Cowboys is playing. Deck's out, so the Eagles are going to demolish them. So I'm not even caring about that game. Other games, I don't care. Now, Monday Night Football, Rams and Dolphins. Dolphins have speedy receivers. They have Tua, whose accuracy is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. What do you think happens in that game and the score?
Well, I think that game is going to be a defensive game. I think the Rams are going to get to Tua a lot. I'm looking for at least 5 sacks on Tua.
Is he mobile?
He's mobile, but the Rams, now the Rams defense is coming at you, especially with, like I said, if Braden Fisk continues to get that constant push up the middle and flushes a quarterback out, I mean, you're going to have Byron Young or Michael Hoyt or also Jared Verse, waiting to mop up.
So I think the score, 21-17 Rams. Below scoring game, which is nowadays, whatever defense. I say Rams 21-17.
I think it'll be more. I think the Rams will score about 30. I would say maybe 30-17, 30-20.
And I guarantee I don't think Dolphins fans are going to take over our stadium because I don't know that many Dolphin fans. But
it's so funny when people talk about taking over stadiums, right? I think it's a fan thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland has almost 95% Cleveland fans. How does that work out? You're still losing games. The fans aren't on the field.
Because Dallas has a lot of Dallas fans, but as we see.
Right, and so, one of the coolest things you saw that was when the Rams, right? So the Rams are coming out of the team bus, and they see Kyron Williams, right? And they say, whose house? And he says, Rams house. And they're like, yeah, but we're in Seattle. He goes, yeah, but it's always our house. Our house is a mentality.
Yeah, it is.
Right? It's like, it doesn't matter how many fans are in there. That's why I think it's funny, because people say, oh, it bothers me when the Rams have that chant, like whose house? Rams house, but there's more visiting fans. That has nothing to do with the number of fans that are in there. Rams house is a dominant. It's a dominant vibe where you're taking over, right? I mean, it was the same thing when the Rams played the 49ers during that week in the NFC Championship. Everybody was saying, oh, don't sell your tickets to Niner fans. I said, no. My attitude was I want as many Niner fans as you can get in the stadium because I want them all to remember that escalator ride.
I love that too. It does not bother me whatsoever. People
taking over doesn't. It never bothered me. Everywhere I went, I've never, in over 54 years of being a Rams fan, I've never been on a road trip where the Rams had taken over a stadium. Yeah. The closest
fans don't win you.
The closest is probably Arizona.
Yeah. Fans don't win you the game by yelling or booing. It's the plays and the execution that win you the game. Mm-hmm. So as you could tell, Seattle had more. And like I said,
you can take over the stadium as long as you don't take over the scoreboard.
With that
being said, all that matters.
Another episode of Go to Ram Buzz. Big shout out to our sponsors: Navarro Taqueria, Recover 180, La Brea Bakery Bread. Our guest, Ty Giovani from Mob Squad. Our director, Angel and Jason. Big shout out to Mas Altos Creative Agency. Big shout out to my co-host, Sal. Big shout out to the veterans. It's Monday, Veterans Day, Sal, against the Dolphins. And
that's going to be great. Yeah.
Can't wait. Whose house?
Rams house.
Whose house? Join us now from New Viking Road Order, Big Mo.
What up, bro?
Big Mo, what up, boy? I mean, you just came out here, as a guest, surprise guest. Tell me.
Just came to kick it. Ty the Italian was like, yo, I'm going to be in your city, so pull up. So that's what I did. Come check it out. I've heard about the barbershop.
The Road Renowned Barbershop. Now,
Right.
tell me about your Vikings. Why are you a Viking fan? What you think about the Viking game when y'all lost? Let's talk.
All right, so my dad was actually a Vikings fan during the Purple People Eater era. So I was born into it. I was born bleeding purple.
Okay.
And what happened last week, I mean, I'm over it now. We're 6-2, so
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, we still got a better record,
Yeah, I know, you're right, you're right.
So I ain't feeling too uncomfortable. I feel positive about our team.
Now, you part of a tailgate crew at the Rams games? I see you at the Rams tailgate, but you're a Viking fan. Explain that to me.
So I'm actually cool with the Mob Squad.
Okay.
Shout out to my cousin. He's the Rams fan, Adolf from the Arizona Mob Squad chapter.
Adolf. Okay.
So he's brought me around. I started kicking it with them, and then during the off season, like we go to the events and stuff. Like I said, for that, it's not even about Rams stuff. That's just the homies now. So
Yeah.
so another reason to come out and kick it.
Who's your favorite all-time Viking player and why?
I'd say John Randall.
What? Number 93? The one with the...
Yeah, just because his personality is all aggressive. I like to talk trash. He talks a lot of trash. And so, and he was dominant on the field. Nobody wanted to go up against him.
And you're in the music, right? You rap. So let the people know what you do, where they can find you at. And
So I rap. So each week I do a track dissing the team we're playing. But on top of that, I do my regular music. I do songs for college, the USC. I'm just doing music all over. You can find me on Instagram at Big Mo Koo. You can find my tracks each week. And I'm working on new material as far as my albums and all that. So check that out.
Hold on. You said you make a track dissing the team each week. So you made a diss track dissing the Rams?
Yeah.
How many views did that get? Like 2?
Actually, I got quite a bit. and not to mention because I got people from the Mob Squad giving me a skull. So
I gotta hear that diss. You might as well erase it now because obviously you know what happened.
I'm still gonna be talking my trash no matter what.
Once again, join us, Big Mo. Big love, Viking fan, Viking fanatic. Ain't nothing wrong with it. We love fans here. He puts over my ribbon. I met him a couple years ago. We cool ever since. Once again, whose house? Rams' house.
Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast. Hit like, share, and link. Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz.